Hello, welcome to the Lone Show. I'm your host, John Lone. In this episode, no regulars, because reasons, as always. As for our guest, he's from the United States in California. Oh, that's a turn. And he is a speaker, a coach, and a therapist. Wow, a three in one. That's pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Brian Grossman.
Well, thank you for that. I'll say impressive introduction. So, I've had my PhD for a while, and my career spanned from doing full time psychology work. I worked with adolescents, substance abusers, switched to working at a prison. Then I joined a seminar company, did years and years of communication, conflict resolution, and leadership training. Then went back into psychology, and now I'm pivoting to what I love doing the most, which is training and coaching. And just got certified in a program called Positive Intelligence, which a simple term is mental fitness, how to take life's curveballs and be your best in handling those issues.
Fantastic. Is there anything that you're currently working on or doing recently?
Well, I'm currently working on offering this coaching and leadership program. Um, so, what it entails is, um, it's a 6 week program where you get access to an app and you literally practice how to lower your emotional saboteurs. And to make it really easy for anybody listening, go to positiveintelligence.com. That's positiveintelligence.com. Click on the saboteurs tab and take a free assessment. You get the results. I do not. And if anybody wants to discuss those lists of saboteurs, and what we know is through research, everybody has these. It's just a question of what's the impact. So when I went through the program a few years ago, I would tell you I had some tension with my family. My mom was in ill health, and I went through this 6 week program, and it literally transformed how I communicate with my family, with my spouse. My relationship got better. My work relationships improved. My work performance improved. And literally was able to deal with, we knew my mom was getting ready to pass away in a healthier way. Not to say that you don't eliminate getting sad or angry or frustrated. You just handle those emotions in a way that doesn't debilitate you. And so if anybody wants to take that saboteur quiz and then contact me to go over the results, you can just email me at info@drbrianspeaks, and I will tell you my highest saboteurs: controller, hypervigilant, and stickler. So you do things my way or I get out of joint, and it's my way or the highway. And letting go of that control has been such a stress relief. And I really view this as the next sort of evolution. This is a program where if you go through any workshop, and all of us have done this, we've gone to Tony Robbins, we've gone to whoever, and we feel real energized for maybe even a month after a 4-day training or seminar, and then we revert back to our old habits. This is a way of retraining your brain to maintain good, healthy, positive attitudes and habits by literally shifting your attitude. And I didn't mean to go on a rant, so please fire away with questions or thoughts. And I thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. It's you made some very good points, and I'd certainly agree with you in that.
Any questions for me, or would you like me to add some more? So it's what's amazing to me about this program is that when you make a shift, we're literally learning to rewire our neural pathways just by doing literally over 6 weeks, 4 minutes, 2 minutes a day, 4 times a day. And I will tell you, everybody I've put through this program, and I myself, after 2 weeks, could sense that I'm communicating differently, responding to stress differently. So it's really quite remarkable. And I know it sounds woo-woo, but I can explain the details if anybody wants to contact me. But uh, what I love most is it's based in factor analysis. So I'm a psychologist, so I like data and backing it up. So it's got 20 years of data to show that it really does work. And I'm targeting solopreneurs who are under stress running their business and running their families. And all you do, God forbid you turn on the news, it's never positive. So how do you handle life's curveballs? So what we do is we get out of stress survival mode and we focus on how do you innovate a problem? How do you look at it creatively? How do you have empathy with the situation or the people you're dealing with to kind of understand where they're coming from? And then how do you take action?
Yes, absolutely. And this program of yours, how long has that been going on for?
I just joined 2 years ago, but Dr. Shirzad Shamin at Stanford, he wrote the book in 2011 and he turned it into a training coaching program. So last year I got certified. So 2023, I was in what's called cohort 14. So I'll say it's been a fully functional program that he's been offering probably since 2020 or 2019, maybe.
Okay, nice, very good.
Yes. And we all do this, right? We find out information. It's like, well, why didn't I do this in 2011 when I bought the book from him? And, he didn't have the coaching program yet. So, now it's fully functional and up and running. And it's what it is anybody who goes through it, you'll find that it's an easier path to shift old habits and behaviors in a simple way and learn how to integrate. And really what I love most about it is if you think of every 15 to 20 years, there's a jump in what we do in personal development. So I look at my career. I started grad school in the 1800s. No, I'm sorry. I started grad school in 1984, and I didn't think I could write a dissertation. So back then, Tony Robbins had just started Fire Walk with Me. So I went to that weekend seminar, went across the hot coals, and I went across 10 times because I asked Tony to walk with me. And then the cost of doing that was to walk 20 other people across the coals. So I did that. And I walked out knowing I can write a dissertation, finish grad school, get out on time. And I did that. And then, of course, you fall back into old habits and you don't keep up, that I'll say that personal edge that Tony teaches. And so every 15 to 20 years, there's another evolution in how we function. And Dr. Shamin has created that with positive intelligence. I really look at it as mental resilience. How do we handle curveballs, stress, strain, bad things happening, and still operate from a positive, creative mode rather than succumb to survival mode and get stuck? And, we all have these potholes we land on. This is a way to get out of the pothole quickly and keep moving forward, and not only move forward, but make a jump.
Yes, it's certainly the way forward for sure. Are there any jobs or opportunities you haven't done yet that you would like to do someday?
My goal for myself, I really want to be speaking full time. So I'll say 20 to 30 speaking engagements a year. But my goal is to develop enough of I'll say clientele that loves what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm taking all my experience in behavioral psychology, cognitive, which is thinking psychology, and my experience with adolescents and substance abusers and thinking, how do I teach people mental resilience? And the other thing that happened to me is you talk about the doctor needing a doctor, right? I had the easier weight loss surgery in 2011 called lap band, lost the weight, left the habits, got a very stressful job at a maximum security prison in Central California, gained the weight back plus, and my doctor scared the heck out of me. I ballooned up to 380 pounds. So I had what's called gastric sleeve. And when I was researching that, talk about a kick in the head, it's all emotional after the surgery. So I've learned that now, and I've kept 187 pounds off. So what I want to do ultimately is I would love to have 4 to 5 weekend retreats where I'm teaching people with other experts, health, nutrition, and mental resilience. And the job I love, I'm so passionate about helping business owners or going into companies and not doing a training, but training people for over the course of maybe 30 weeks, and not every week, 6 week increments. And what I love doing, my passion is, how do I train the people I'm training to take what they learn from me and teach it to others? Because I think that's the gap in leadership today, is we're not training the people under us to be leaders. That's why there's a brain gap at so many organizations. And I just laugh when, you hear, oh, the younger generation doesn't want to work. And it's like, haven't you heard that your whole life? Of course they want to work. We just have to communicate to that generation's style. So I love helping the multi-generational workforce work together. So that's my other passion.
Fantastic. It's nice to see that there's many things to do and stay occupied as well as make an impact for the world, for sure.
Yes, that's really what turns me on, is just going in and helping create the change that people want, not my change, but what is it where you're stuck and how can I help push you through? And I'm absolutely convinced that mental resilience or mental fitness coaching and training is the next wave to help people thrive.
Absolutely. And fantastic, I might add.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. If you were hosting a talk show, who would you have on?
Oh, wow. If I was hosting a talk show, I would love to have Tony Robbins, Taylor Swift. I'm going to get her name wrong. I hope I don't mispronounce it, but the other singer, Dua Lipa. And I would love to have Oprah and Brian Tracy on.
All right, that's a very good lineup.
Yes, it should keep us busy for a while.
Oh yes, absolutely. If you were hosting a dinner party and you can invite 5 guests who are either dead or alive, who would you invite?
Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Bill Clinton, Princess Diana, Albert Einstein.
Uh-huh. Fantastic.
And
If
that's only
you
because the other people on the talk show I've already talked to.
Nice. If you were given 500 acres of land, what would you use that land for?
Wow, 500 acres of land. I'm not sure of the how I would divide it up in, you know, but I would have literally I would have 5 different areas. One area would be sustainable farming, so organics, and teaching, showing people how you could come and visit and then create your own parcel of land to grow your own food sources and eat healthier, but also have that section be renewable energy. I would have another part where I would just invite as many creative minds as I could to teach students how to be creative in different specialties, whether that be science, math, physics. I would have like 4 areas of specialty teaching. I would have experts in another area that would be um, all different levels of physical fitness. So, not that you need to be an Olympic athlete, but just how to maintain your own health with different levels of exercise, anything from yoga to just walking to weightlifting to even if people want to take a step up and do specialties, just to maintain coordination. And that would be for all ages, kids up to seniors. And then I would have my own retreat. I'd hopefully be able to have my own little. I've always dreamed. This is going to sound crazy. I've always dreamed of having a indoor-outdoor pool, but I would love to have part of that be my own little retreat for my family to thrive in, and that's with all my grandkids and family. So we all have our own space, and then great shared space. And then I would love to have my own little studio where I'm recording, hosting, and doing videos on healthy cooking, healthy exercise, and just talking about ideas, and do it all from that little park. So, although 500 acres isn't little.
Uh-huh. Indeed. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Can I cheat and give you two places?
Name as many as you like.
I would love to have that 500-acre property, although I don't know if it would fit in Laguna Beach, but I would love to have a place in Australia. I got to visit Australia with the seminar company I was with twice for 3 weeks, and I just ate it up. I loved every minute of it. So,
Yes, it's fantastic.
and not to leave it out, but those two places for sure. And then I would, of course, visit England. So,
Ah, yes, that too, that too.
but for that, if I could pick anywhere, Laguna Beach, California, and Australia.
Yeah, those are brilliant options. Would you rather be really hot or really cold?
Really hot. I live in the desert area of Southern California, so I thrive in the heat. I can handle the cold. I've lived in snow, but I don't mind the heat.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd like the heat, but I'm also fine with the cold too.
Yep.
If you had a song for every time you enter the room, what song would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I don't know if you know this. I can't think of the exact title, but it's sort of it's the stadium song they play every time somebody hits a home run. It's not charged, but it's a very upbeat sort of rock and roll thing. Or every time I walked in, the song I would think that I like most is oh gosh, it just left my head. Oh, Happy by Farrell.
Ah, yeah, I have heard of that song. It's quite something.
Yes.
If your mind was an island, what would it look like?
Um, I'm going to say one of the islands off of Bali. So lots of palm trees, lots of greenery, and sand, oceanfront, a mixture of both. But I am, I will tell you, years and years and years ago, I did a training seminar for the Department of Forestry. So I trained the entry level workers and went all the way up to senior management. And at the time, I was new to training, so I brought in a colleague who was experienced with upper management leadership. He spent the whole first day of training training the senior leaders, and talking about being a Boy Scout and camping and hiking. And so the next day, before I even got good morning out, one of the leaders stood up and said, "We heard from Camper Dan, Brian, what's your deal with the forest?" And I said, "I love the forest. I love the beach. I love islands. I love frolicking and exploring. But my people 5,000 years ago wandered through the desert for 40 years because God punished us. So I like hiking and exploring, but I've got to have a hotel available. So I want to sleep in the Sheraton. So my island that you asked me about would be sand and beach and tropical, but I would also have a luxurious cabin to sleep in.
Yep, I like a cabin too. Also, like an igloo at some point, but that's just me being out there.
Oh boy, if you ever come out to California, I will treat you. You have to come out during our winter period, but there's a place called the Integratron, and it is shaped like a geodesic dome, but there's no metal or wiring. And it's about as peaceful and relaxing an experience you have, but it also has its own energy source. It's quite amazing. So that's
Ah,
what I think of when you mentioned an igloo. So
that's interesting. I'm speechless. I'm blown away.
I stumped the host.
Yes, you stumped me good, I guess. Would you rather be transported 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past?
Oh, 500 years into the future.
Yeah, who knows? There's tons of technological advancements that could possibly be well beneficial for all of us.
Yep. You don't know what you would find. I don't know what I don't know
Yeah,
what it would be, but it would be exciting and interesting, scary and fascinating. I just the way I'm wired, I don't see going backwards into the past. Plus, I'd be afraid I'd disturb something and destroy everything going forward.
good point. Yes.
But I love I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but one of my favorite Star Trek movies was, I think it was part 4, The Voyage Home, where they have to go back in time to get whales to bring back to the future. And they need a special form of plexiglass. So Dr. McCoy tells the engineer, he says, well, you can't tell him how to do that. We might disrupt the future. And Scotty says, well, how do you know? He might have been the guy who invented it. So, but I definitely want to go to the future. I would be so excited.
Me too.
Hit me with
What?
another one. What do you got?
All right. So, what was the longest you have gone without doing anything?
Without being sick or in ill health?
I'm talking about what is the longest you've been. What is the longest you've gone for doing nothing? Is
I
this
would
it?
say I've gone once in a while, just need a break, and I've doing nothing. So you're saying not even watching a movie or TV or anything, just nothing?
Just sitting there, staring somewhere blank, doing nothing. I guess just sitting there.
Staring blank, doing nothing, I've done for 2 hours.
That's one of them. Or that was that it?
I was practicing a new type of meditation, and that was about the longest I could go.
Nice.
And that
That's
was
pretty.
before positive intelligence. So I think I've let my controller issues go a little bit. So maybe I could do a little longer, but that felt like a lot.
Yeah, of course. What takes a lot of time to master, but is definitely worth it?
Changing the emotional habits of eating, for me, that took me the longest time. It would have sped up had I known about positive intelligence and mental fitness, but having to just to rely on my own experience and then support groups and things, mastering the emotion of choosing something else when I'm frustrated, upset, or triggered and want bad food sources. I think that took me the longest and has been well worth it. And it's really served me because there is no difference in the brain area that causes the triggers and cravings for sugar and carbs as the ones that trigger that you need to drink or use Coke or meth to cope. It's the same part of the brain. So that's really helped me when I've done substance abuse therapy.
Ah, yeah, of course. What is something you have learnt this week?
Consistently smile. I had a couple of family setbacks this past month and a half. And I'm one of those guys that can never gamble. I can't play cards or anything like that because you know on my face right away what's going on. So even some of my coaching clients said, "You seem down." And I'm like, wow, I forgot my own habits, which is, when you're on, be on and smile and keep that upbeat attitude and energy. So that was a good reminder this week.
Yep, absolutely. What is the best pair of shoes you have ever owned?
Oh, um, I can Google the brand while we're talking, but when I was working for the seminar company, I went from Southern California to Seattle, Washington. And I had learned the lesson, dress well on your plane flight because sometimes your luggage won't follow you. And so I had slacks and a shirt, but I was doing a 4-day training in Seattle. And so I knew I couldn't wear the same stuff. And so I went to Nordstrom's, and it's at Denali. It's an Italian brand of shoes that are handmade. And the guy put them on my feet, and I was wearing a brand new suit, and I felt like $1 million. And those shoes were totally amazing.
Yes. Incredible.
And that's the last time I spent that much on shoes or a suit. But that suit lasted me 6 years, so no
Oh,
complaints.
not bad, not bad. If you could see one movie again for the first time, what movie would that be?
God, I'm such a science fiction fantasy nut, but if you're asking me for one for the first time again, I would say Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, or if we go another way, I like history and drama, Lawrence of Arabia.
Hmm. Yeah. That is something for sure. Uh, yeah. I can't. Yeah. I'm really taking that in, even though I was distracted with something by
No
Dua
problem. No,
Lipa.
there's so many moments in Lawrence of Arabia that's remarkable. So I know it's 3 hours, so I watch it in bits periodically when I feel the need. But there's so many historical moments. But then Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan was just fun rebooting the franchise and good lessons in there too.
Yes, of course. What is something you found interesting this week?
You know, even though I know it, sometimes we forget. Um, People handle grief so differently and individualized. And so I'll just share, I lost my brother 6 weeks ago. And, not to keep beating a dead horse, but, mental fitness training has really helped keep me on track by allowing the mental resilience. I allow myself the time to grieve, to get my feelings out, and then move on to still be my best. But two things happened. I had one coaching client who just would not let himself get to the point of grieving about the loss of one of his close relatives. And I said to him, You can let your feelings out any way you want, other than substance abuse. I'll allow overeating, over exercising, whatever it takes, sitting and doing nothing. Take the weekend off work, do something to reboot your brain, or just be you. And then I walked into a training job, and the person who hired me said, I hope you're over the loss of your brother, because he through another job actually knew my brother. Um, and my thought was, that's the thing that bothers me the most about certain mindsets. It's like, oh, something horrible happens to you, you should get over it in 24 hours. And it's like, well, I probably won't get over this for a year, but it doesn't mean I won't function. Doesn't mean I won't participate in other things. Doesn't mean I won't show up to be my best, but I'll also take the time when it comes up to grieve. And so I learned, tap into what you need to process, help others do the same, and ignore the dinosaur thinking of others.
Indeed. Couldn't agree more. And that is all we have for this episode. It's great having you on, Brian, talking
I
about.
can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. This has been lots of fun.
It sure has been. And until next time, stay tuned for more.